On behalf of our CADS 2703 class, we would like to do a presentation on the Lee County Humane Society. The Lee County Humane Society, or LCHS, was developed in 1974 as a solution to a growing problem of stray animals in our area. A group of people volunteer to take animals into their homes to foster and try and find them forever homes. Our vision is to be the leading advocate for companion animals in our community. We envision a future in which animals are valued, pet overpopulation is eliminated, and every adoptable companion animal has a loving and responsible home. The values of the Lee County Humane Society are also as follows. We are dedicated to the welfare of companion animals in our community. We work toward a future where every companion animal has a forever home. Our long-term goal is to put an end to animal overpopulation by spaying or neutering all the animals in our care. The Lee County Humane Society also has a mission statement. Our mission is to advocate humane treatment and responsible ownership of companion animals through community education, animal sheltering, and adoption, and alleviation of animal suffering. The Lee County Humane Society has a very unique organizational structure for their programs. They are composed of a board of directors, managers, coordinators, and employees. The board of directors is made up of people who volunteer their time, and named positions include a president, a vice president, a treasurer, and a secretary. Also on the board is the shelter director, TJ McCullough. Is the board a functioning board? And the answer is yes. The board of directors at the Lee County Humane Society is functioning and is not active in the day-to-day decisions, but does oversee the Humane Society and things that are happening and going on within there. The second question is, are there clear job descriptions for each board member? And the answer is no. While there are several named positions on the board, there's not a specific job for every member. There are only 4 named positions within the board of directors. The day-to-day operations and management of the shelter and associated affairs is vested in an executive director that is selected by the board. Each board member is also expected to join a committee and take on committee assignments. There are 5 main committees that the board of directors choose to serve on. Within these committees, each board member chooses which one they would like to serve on and then has a vested interest in that committee and what that committee does. Within the organizational structure of the Humane Society, underneath the board, there are also staff members and employees of the Humane Society. The Humane Society currently has staff members ranging in age from 17 in high school to as old as over 50. They also work well together because they have a common bond for the animals and always put the animals first and themselves second. In preparing for this project, we asked 2 employees of the Humane Society a question. That question was, does this organization have effective leadership both at the staff and volunteer level? Rachel Barnes, who is the fundraising coordinator, responded by telling us that she believes that there is a lack in leadership for the volunteers. She believes that this is because there's a high turnover in that job and that with a little consistency that would also be a strong point within the Humane Society. Bailey Ray, who is the foster coordinator at the Humane Society, said that she does believe that they have a strong leadership at both levels, both the staff and the volunteer, and that they do everything they can for their animals, and that the volunteer coordinator does an amazing job as well as with communicating with the community and her volunteers.
Volunteers are extremely welcomed and needed by the LCHS. Volunteers are ultimately what run the Lee County Humane Society. To become a volunteer, one must be 18 years old and complete an application which will be reviewed. Then, the volunteer must attend an orientation where they will learn about the organization, the rules, and their duties. There is no screening process to be a volunteer at the Lee County Humane Society. According to the volunteer director, there also is no documented policy for firing volunteers, but everyone must, quote, treat each animal with respect and follow the rules for authority, end quote. Anyone in a leadership position or volunteer role is a part of the daily operations at the Humane Society. This includes a washroom with only one set of washer and dryer to clean all the bedding and towels for every animal in the shelter, a whiteboard, and a bigger whiteboard to keep track of the smaller things like whether a dog has been fed, and the bigger things whether they are up for adoption, so everyone is on the same track. There's also food bowls, which are evenly distributed every single day, unless a certain animal has certain dietary restrictions. And in the employee office, there's a set of folders which basically contains all the animals and their statuses, whether they are ready for fostering or adoption. It helps keep track of social media interns and also helps keep track of adoption ambassadors.
The purpose of the Humane Society here in Auburn is to house unwanted and homeless animals in Auburn and Opelika. We are a 501c3 non-for-profit organization that contracts out with the cities of Auburn and Opelika in order to take care of animals that, as I said, are homeless or unwanted.
One of the biggest benefits is giving a home to a dog that wouldn't otherwise have one. A lot of people go to breeders and want purebred dogs, but at the shelter you find dogs that are a lot more appreciative of your love and attention, and they make it all the more worthwhile.
The best part about having a dog is always having a friend to play with.
Dogs are also just great companions. They're great study partners. They're great to help you stay active. There's lots of ways that college students can help out without actually adopting from us. We do have a volunteer program, which you can go online to leecountyhumane.org and sign up to volunteer that way. Our volunteers have an advantage because they get to come in, take dogs out to the local dog park, to Kiesel, Chewacla. You can take them to downtown Auburn.
The Humane Society does a great job of bringing in homeless pets and rehabilitating them and making them adoptable, and they make the adoption process very, very easy and very enjoyable.
My name is Hannah Jones, and I'm with the Lee County Humane Society, and we hope that you'll come out and give us a visit.
Fundraising is a necessity for any nonprofit organization to be able to run efficiently, like the Lee County Humane Society. They do this by grants and donations. Only 37% of their income comes from the city of Opelika and Auburn in the form of grants, which means the rest of the funds ultimately come from donations. These donations can be direct donations, sponsorships of animals, the Kroger Rewards program, or even community involvement. Some examples of this is the Amazon Smile program, which they choose a day, and it says Amazon will donate 5% of the price of eligible purchases to LCHS. The Kroger Rewards program is another example, and this is where people can get a Kroger card and they can pick a nonprofit to support. And if they pick LCHS, every time they spend money at Kroger, then Kroger donates to LCHS. LCHS is always looking for grants that they can apply to using online databases, which can be seen below. Many of these involve plugging in numbers like your intake and your outtake just to see if you even qualify. This is perhaps a prime example of why receiving grants are so difficult. LCHS uses 4 main strategies for fundraising. This includes detailed grant proposals, websites, word of mouth, and community outreach. In today's society, websites are essential. However, for LCHS, the big things that they focus on are word of mouth and community outreach. LCHS's majority of fundraising comes from community outreach programs such as benefit nights at local restaurants, partnering with other companies and organizations to hold different types of events like Bark in the Park, Puppy Palooza, and Paws on the Plains. They also often partner with other local collegiate communities to increase fundraising among the younger generation. They typically use fraternities and sororities to increase the presence on campus through word of mouth.
The issues. The biggest issue area for the Lee County Humane Society are funding, money, and donations. We interviewed both the foster coordinator, Bailey Ray, and the fundraising and events coordinator, Rachel Barnes, about what issues they felt were the most prominent within the organization, and both of them immediately answered with the same things: funding. LCHS is heavily reliant on outside donations. We interviewed both the foster coordinator, Bailey Ray, and the fundraising and events coordinator, Rachel Barnes, about what issues they felt were the most prominent within the organization, and both of them immediately answered with the same things: funding. LCHS is heavily reliant on outside donations, both monetary and not, and when those donations do not come, it puts the organization in a tough place. Even with the small amount of government assistance they get, they still require over 60% of their annual budget to come from outside sources. One example of a tangible donation is the Feral Cat Mansion, which sits outside of the Lee County Humane Society. It was built for the shelter by a Boy Scout troop in Auburn. The Feral Cat Mansion houses the several feral cats that live around the shelter that they have trapped, fixed, and released, and that are fed by the employees. Here you will see pictures of the holding room, which is more of a type of hallway in the shelter. The shelter has very limited space, and to hold all donations they receive that are not monetary, that are tangible donations. To encourage both monetary and tangible donations, LCHS will put social media bulletins such as these on their website to encourage the public either to bring in food such as wet dog food or must-have Mondays where they can request a variety of types of supplies. Strategic plans and measuring success. The Lee County Humane Society does not have an official strategic plan in place, but work on an as-needed basis, meaning they create strategic plans for impending issues as they arise. For example, if the organization is in need of more kennel space, they will create a strategy to handle the issue at hand. They have a variety of strategies in place for solving these issues and usually include reaching out to the community via social media, creating a donation drive with PayPal or GoFundMe, or an event to raise awareness and funds, or even putting an adoption special in place to create a higher demand. Because of this, instead of an evaluation plan set in place to measure the success, the staff measures their success by the success or failure of specific plans, whether it be through monetary donations received, adoptions achieved monthly, or any other numerical results that indicate if the plan worked and was implemented well. The numbers are presented to the board to help determine the success of said project and if it should be repeated. When speaking with fundraising and events coordinator Rachel Barnes, she was quoted as saying, "Our long-term goal of this organization is to put an end to animal overpopulation by spaying and neutering all animals in our care." One way that the LCHS is addressing this issue is by the Spay and Neuter Your Pet initiative. This was an initiative in partnership with the Lee County Commission, Auburn City Council, Opelika City Council, and Smith Station City Council to help prevent pet overpopulation. To implement this initiative, we created flyers, published them online, and dropped them off at several locations that serve the impoverished community in Lee County to spread awareness and allow the members of the community that fell into these guidelines to get their dogs spayed or neutered for $10 and their cats spayed or neutered for $5.